Hi, welcome back to Shadow Phoenix, where the mission is to empower every individual to share the unique gift that they have for their own self-actualization and enjoyment and for the good of the collective. Welcome back, and I would like to talk a little bit more about grief. If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe on my Facebook channel, Shadow Phoenix, and we talked a little bit about emotional hygiene, dealing with grief, and I would like to extend that out to energetic hygiene. So when we talk about hygiene, we talk about cleaning up, maintaining our space the same way that we would clean our body, brush our teeth, clean our home, make our bed, do the dishes. We keep our area clean. And in an emotional sense, we keep our emotions clean, positive, functional. It doesn't mean that we don't experience times of anger or frustration or sadness, but that these states, as feelings come and go, as they should, and we're able to get information from them and then utilize them. It doesn't become this ongoing personality state where we're always angry or always sad or always hopeless or anxious. The same thing goes for our energy. Our energetic hygiene is very important also to manage. I think that we use like high vibration as kind of a shortcut terminology, a slang, but to keep a high vibration where we're being positive, we're being proactive, we're manifesting our positive vision for ourselves in the world. And when we have something negative, some lower vibration energy, which will happen, we take initiative and we take responsibility to clean up that energy in our space, in our bubble. So with that, I wanted to talk a little bit more about this paradigm of 3D, 5D. I was asked recently, what does it mean to be in 3D or to be in 5D? So to borrow something from Abraham Hicks, you live in a universe of vibration. 3D vibration is vibration that you can sense through your five senses. Your taste, sight, touch, feel, and hearing. When you have a 5D vibration, that is something that you can't sense with your five senses, but is still true and real, nevertheless, and you can sense it with your other senses, your intuition, your third eye, your chakra system. When you have the 3D, that's the most dense. That's the most dense energy that can be had, and from there it lightens up. And in the 5D, we have energy that is still collected and semi-dense. It could be your light body, your energy body, your auric body, whatever you like to think about it. A lot of people understand and know that we have a chakra system in our body. We also have chakras not just in our physical body, but really above our body, in our head, and below our body, down into the ground that roots us into Mother Earth Gaia. So when we're talking about body and spirit, 3D and 5D, our 3D body is real, but it's inside our light body. A lot of times we have understood our spirit to be in our body and that our skin is the outmost container for our energetic body. That's actually not true. We have a light body, an energy body that radiates all around us, and really our 3D body is just the densest part of that other people can see with their five senses. So when we're talking about releasing energy and grief, I talked a little bit about how moving from 3D into 5D itself can trigger grief for us. Grief is just a fancy way of saying a process of letting go. You can grieve with sadness, you can grieve with joy, you can grieve any sort of way. We most associate grief with the passing of loved ones. More recent psychology has taught us that we can grieve lifestyles. If you get married or have a baby or move, these things can trigger grief. And now we're knowing that even moving into awareness and awakening can cause grief for the cocoon period or the caterpillar period that was left behind. This is one of the ways that you know that you're enlightening and awakening, is because you will have grief for the old paradigms that you are now shedding. It's very common, especially in this great awakening, moving into the 5D, into the new earth, to have a lot of things coming off of us, a lot of waste, old energy, old patterns, old ego structures, things that don't serve us anymore, and we're now shedding them because we're awakening up, we're having higher vibrations, and we don't need to cling to those old paradigms anymore. That doesn't mean that we don't grieve them when they're gone. And that's one of the actual really great ways that you can tell that you are awakening and that you are evolving and ascending in the spiritual journey, is because you will experience grief. Grief can show up in different ways. Obviously, if you wake up out of just for no reason at all, you wake up and you just feel sad, you feel like crying, you might feel heavy. Sometimes I can feel more irritable, I can feel restless or short-tempered. Some people who are very highly tuned and extremely intuitive, in touch with their own intuition and very empathetic, can also feel it in their physical body. And it will show up in different ways for everybody. And if it does, I just want to encourage you to give yourself time and space to feel it and to let it go. One of the paradigms that I would really like to communicate to people is that we don't have to do anything in this spiritual journey of awakening and evolving. It's already been done, and your higher knowing and your higher awareness is already doing it for you. And all you have to do when the old is passing away is let it go. Knowing that something is going. On the other hand, the flip side of the coin is knowing that something new is either being brought to you or has been brought to you, and that new energy has pushed out of the way the old energy. So when you have grief, keep an eye forward, keep an eye to your third eye, to your vision, to your intuition, on what have I now gained, what has changed, how have I evolved because of this grief. That is indicating to me that I have something new that's coming in or emerging within myself. My own being is emerging and coming into a new vibration or a new higher ego state, and things are going to look and be different. Personally, I really feel like the star portal 444 on April 4th, 2020 was a really big turning point for the collective. I personally really felt that, and I think that we are now going to be having increased amounts of grief. I've had 2 big grief bubbles come up in my personal life this week, and I feel like the more that we are moving into this new world, during part of this top of the cycle, over the top of the curve, we are going to have a lot of grief building and releasing and cleansing. Again, it's just a fancy way for saying let it go. So if letting it go, letting old energy go, is a more comfortable way for you to envision that process, of course, I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to give yourself time and space to just let it flow out of you in whatever way is natural. I really like a good cry. Just a good crying it out is very healing and cleansing. Also, your body can respond. So if you feel like you have more of a runny nose with allergies, or you're going to the restroom more, it's kind of a funny or gross way to think about it, but your body is also integrating these changes. And many people for the first time are moving into their light body and or merging their physical body with their light body. And so the sensitivity that you have in your normal body may be a lot more than what you're used to. And if you start to notice patterns, that if you're emotionally letting something go and your physical body also begins to let something go, that means that you've merged. And that's really great work. Congratulations, because that's really hard to do. And you've really put in the work on this evolving process. So, another thing that you can do is begin to have rituals that may encourage you letting go, like at the end of the day or the end of the week. Full moon and new moon cycles are really great times to let things go. Of course, the equinoxes and the seasons, that's a little bit more infrequent than we're looking at. I had one ritual that I would do during one difficult part of my life. There was a season that was very emotionally difficult for me to go through. I was living in the country at this time, and every night at the end of the day, I would walk out a ways and get from the gravel road 1 stone, and I would pick it up and just hold it close to my heart, close to my body, and just put that whole day into it as a way to release it, and just give the day, put it into this rock, and then I would throw it as far as I could off, out back to the Mother Earth to take back. And that really made me feel like I had integrated that day, that I could put it to bed, I could put it to rest, and then I could go to sleep in peace and not worry about that anymore. So any kind of rituals, journaling, talk therapy, any other kind of magical rituals that you come up with for you that help you release. Anything that's going to move old energy away from you. And also exercise, drinking water, rest, all of these things that are good for our 3D body are also good for our energy body. And of course, the exercise is going to just move energy around. Anytime you're moving energy around, it's great. Even if you come out in the sunshine and the wind is blowing, that's moving energy around. That's moving so much more than just the wind, but it's just moving energy around, and letting yourself be in these cycles with the earth and with nature is also a really great way to let Mother Earth, let Gaia take that energy from you. I think that we have a misconception about spiritual work or inner work that we have to do something. I think that we've adopted this Freudian psychotherapy analysis kind of a paradigm for spiritual work, where I have to show up to the therapist's office and I have to listen to somebody else tell me what's the matter and talk with them, and do this on an ongoing extended period of time that I can make any growth in my life. That's not how the spiritual evolution works. Spiritual evolution happens inside of you, and your higher self is actually already completely equipped with the map and the plan and step-by-step how to do it, and is doing it actively, even if you don't know. You don't have to consciously be aware of your path in order for your higher self to be growing you. So really, what we do is release and we relax. We receive the growth, we relax and we release old things that no longer serve us. And so in that kind of way, we're kind of the canvas on which our higher self paints the story of our life or our narrative. There are times when we consciously engage with where we're going. I'm big for that. That's a really great masculine use of energy, to be very proactive and focused and determined and move it forward. But there's also that feminine side of energetic work where we relax and it happens to us, and then we relax and we release it as it goes. And so sometimes all it takes is for us to be our own witness and our own observer in our process, to realize I'm grieving, I can hold space for that, I'm celebrating. When you just randomly feel good, that's your upgrades. Those are your vibrations happening. That's normal. We should feel good. We should feel good most of the time, if not all of the time. And so if you have somebody who's like struggled with anxiety or depression, and you start feeling good randomly, that's good. That's how it's supposed to be. It means that you're coming out of that low vibration, that dense emotional vibration of energy, worry, angst, separateness, and you're emerging into abundance. You're emerging into the oneness of source and all of our connectedness together. That makes you feel good. And it's supposed to, and that's how you know that you're on the right path, is because you feel good. And it will happen in the middle of nowhere. It will be completely unrelated to what is happening in your day, moment to moment. And that goes for both the grief and the letting go and those joyful moments of connectedness when we are in alignment. Those things will just be unrelated. Of course, they can be related if you are having a really great healing session, or you're meditating, or you're having a good connection with somebody or yourself. Of course, those things do make sense too. But when you're just going energetically, if you're new to the energetic process, it can be very unrelated to what's going on. And some people, at first, it can be a little jarring to realize that. I did want to let everybody know that I am doing personal readings. If you do want a personal reading, you can just connect with me, and I'm going to work to leave information down below. If you would like to leave a comment, like, or subscribe, I would be very grateful for that. And please do stop by my page. I do live feeds daily as possible, and I read for you if you show up and say hi, so I can see you in the comments, and that's something that I really like to do. All right, guys, you go out there, make it a great day, and welcome to the new earth.